Swoohoo YouTube, SwooCube here, and today we are talking about my Hera Battle Box starter deck. So just a quick recap for anyone new to this concept. I have designed a stable of decks that are designed to interact with the Luke Invader starter decks in terms of power level, so that they'll be interchangeable and you can play games among various different decks just to increase my replayability and have some kitchen table constructed with my play group. They are built to match power level. They are built with flavor as the primary guideline for inclusions. So the card has to kind of fit the theme to be included, and similar construction rules. So a high degree, 10 to 20 one-off cards to add a level of replayability and randomness between the decks. That's more so than what you get in a really highly tuned, honed, constructed game of premier decks. So without further ado, I'm going to jump right in here. I'll be brief about this one. Hera is pretty straightforward. She, for those who are unfamiliar with her ability, she allows you to ignore the aspect penalty of Spectre cards you play, which basically lets you play a 4-color, 5-color deck. You can play all the colors because there's Spectres in every color, and you don't get penalized by needing to pay extra to do so. Hera herself is a fairly weak leader. She's much less impactful than Luke or Vader, and even cards like Thrawn. She has a much lower impact on the game. She really just lets you get the gang of Spectre friends together and play a deck that way. Now, lucky for us, this type of format is the perfect place for Hera to shine. While she certainly hasn't made waves in competitive constructed, and she's really hard to pull off in draft, in an environment like this with pre-constructed decks that have a kind of fixed power level designed to compete with each other, not be super focused, but just evoke good gameplay, fun gameplay elements, good flavor, a more casual environment, Hera really shines. So without further ado, let's talk Hera. I hope I am organized here. Looks like I mostly am. So just on the surface here, Hera is a mid-range deck focused pretty largely on getting out Spectres, keeping Spectres in play, buffing Spectres. It's like the Power Rangers deck, right? So all of the deck is kind of built around that. It has a lot of unique units, and those units tend to be more powerful than non-unique units across all rarities in the game. So Hera's strength compared to other decks is her units on average are better. I balance that off by limiting the number of Sentinels she has and also giving her slightly down-tuned removal. So it's a pretty straightforward gameplay. Play Spectres, attack, win. There's some fun lines of play that I've kind of baked in here that I'll kind of talk about as I get to them, but without further ado, the deck. Okay, on the low end, a couple choppers, an Alliance Dispatcher for ramp, space units, 3 X-Wings, a Wing Leader. All right, I'm not as organized as I thought. 2 Ghost, Key, and 2 Bright Hope. Okay, so this rounds out the space package. 8 total space units. X-Wings on the low end, not too powerful, but just a solid ship. Wing Leader is great to buff up your Spectres. Bright Hope is a very strong spaceship. Not super aggressive, but can certainly hold the ground for a while and draw you some cards. And then, of course, the ubiquitous Ghost. One of the most fun cards in the deck to get going, especially when you can pull it off with Wedge Antilles, which is a one-off in this deck. So Wedge is included really specifically just for that interaction with the Ghost. Dropping a Wedge and following it up with a Ghost the following turn is one of the most fun and powerful things you can do. Okay, moving on. More low-cost units. I have 3 Sabine Wren, 2 Rebel Pathfinders, 1 Mon Mothma. At the 4-drop slot, we're kind of bouncing all over here. 2 Kanan Jarrus, a General to the Donna. At 3, 2 Echo Base Defenders. That's 2 of the Sentinels in the deck. 1 Fleet Lieutenant, 1 Admiral Akbar, 3 Ezra Bridgers. So every Sentinel in the game so far is included in at least a 2 of. Here's 2 more Zebs, and to round off the units up top, we have a Vigilant Honor Guards, kind of a conditional Sentinel. It's interactable Sentinel. So that's kind of the stipulation of the deck, right? That's the main theme. We're getting all the Sentinels out. So every Sentinel shows up in at least a 2 of. Ezra and Sabine are 3 ofs because I want them to show up every deck and kind of always be characterizing the early game of this deck. Couple more units to round out the top end. Rogue Squadron Skirmisher. I wanted the biggest units in the deck to be vehicles for Wedge. And also, Rogue Squadron is the perfect top end for this curve because it allows you to get back, your choppers and your Sabines that may have died earlier. So a little bit of recursion, keep the Spectre game going strong. In terms of units, I'll just clear these out here at the bottom. 1 Spark of Rebellion, of course. 1 Takedown using the Judge promo or the event promo because that's the only spare copy I have. Normally I would not bling out these decks. They're designed to be cheap, easy to slap together, and don't mind if a 5-year-old plays with them. 1 Make an Opening, 2 Carabast, 3 Strike True, 2 Moment of Peace. I'm going to get those. Key for getting a little extra mileage out of the Sentinels you have, or keeping one of your Spectres alive, right? 2 Recruits to draw those key units that you're looking for. 2 Rebel Assaults. I kind of did those anyway. Yeah, 2 Rebel Assaults. Every unit in the deck is a Rebel, so getting a little bit extra juice out of your attacks is great. And then to round off the top of the deck, we have 2 Academy Trainings and a Jedi Lightsaber. The Jedi Lightsaber, honestly, it's not super powerful in this deck. It's just flavorful for Ezra and Kanan. If you watch the show, their lightsaber is kind of a big piece, and them getting their lightsaber is a big thing. I thought that was fun to include. It's great when you can pull it off on one of them, but I think one of the marks of a skilled player in a deck like this is knowing when to put the Jedi lightsaber on, on your chopper or your fleet lieutenant, and just take advantage of what the field is offering you. It's a fun deck to play, very straightforward, as Hera tends to be. But it is notably, I think, very well balanced against the field, and I enjoy playing it against Luke and Vader. I also really enjoy playing it against my Thrawn deck. There's a lot of great interplay between the two, and you can always kind of find ways to relive little story moments from the show if you're a fan of that. So thanks, guys, for watching. I will post the link to this deck in the description, and stay tuned. More deck lists for this BattleBox project coming soon. Yeah, talk soon.